Alright, so this week I thought we'd jump into a subject that I've touched on before, but I get a lot of people asking me questions about it, and just want to demonstrate the power of these once again, and that's using smart objects, especially when it comes to text and applying different effects to them. So here, I've got a document, and so you can see the size I'm working at here. It's 8 by 4 at 100 dpi. I'm working small for the purposes of demonstration, but just be aware that the settings we apply might differ depending on if you're working on a higher res image. Alright, so inside my image here, I'm going to go ahead and click the text tool in my toolbar. I'm just going to click inside my document so I can set some text, and I'm going to type the word imagine. Now, we don't see it because it's filled with black, which is set as my foreground color, and black is the background of my image, so I need to change that. Let's go ahead and fill it with white. So white is already set as my background swatch. I'm just going to press Command Delete. That would be Control Backspace on a PC. Now I'm just going to bring up my free transform, and I'm going to hold down the Shift and the Option key, or the Shift Alt key, and scale this proportionally out from the center. And let's get a good size right about there. And I'm just going to go ahead and center it in my document by selecting all and then centering that way. So now I've got my text set in the middle of my document. Now, I'm going to apply a layer style to this. And I'm really liking these gel-looking layer styles up in here, which are preset. These are pre-installed inside Photoshop CS3. And I'm just going to go ahead and click and apply this effect right here. It just gives me kind of a cool metallic look to it. And what I want to do is apply a color to this. And I'm going to do that by using a color overlay. I'm just going to create a new blank layer, and I'm going to load that text as a selection. Let's go and turn this off. I'm going to load that text as a selection by command clicking directly on it. You can see I get the little selection icon. So click and load that, get an active selection. With the new blank layer highlighted, I'm going to go into my color picker and choose kind of a yellowish gold orangey color, right about like that. So we'll hit OK, and with that selection active, set as my foreground color, I'm just going to press Option Delete or Alt Backspace. So it fills that color in. So now I've got that color layer over my effect. Well, to make it reveal or blend in with my effect, I'm going to use a blend mode, and we're going to use overlay. So that gives me a pretty interesting result there. Well, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift click on both of these layers to select them both, and I'm going to basically nest these inside of a smart object. So let's go into the flyout menu here and choose Convert to Smart Object. And you can nest smart objects within smart objects all day long. It's just how many different levels you want to go into there. So I've got that object in there. I'm actually going to duplicate this smart object. And I'm going to go into the Edit menu and go to Transform, Flip Vertical, and this is going to create our reflection of this text. Let's drag it beneath that text there so we get a little bit of a shadow looking there. So there that is. I'm going to apply a layer mask to this layer. And let's click and select our gradient tool, making sure we're going from foreground to transparent right here. So it's foreground, black is our foreground color. We're going from black to transparent. And I'm just going to drag up from the bottom just to give us a little bit of a fade into that background there. It's like that. So now I've got that all set, and now I want to apply a warp to both of these layers. Well, I can't really apply. I'd have to almost merge them and be able to do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select both of these layers yet again, and we're going to put these inside of their own smart object. So let's go under the flyout menu and go to Convert to Smart Object. So you can nest these in. You can apply different effects at varying levels of different smart objects. And this is all non-destructive, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So now I've got all those files embedded into one smart object. Let's go ahead and center this into the document here. So I'm going to press Command or Control T to bring up free transform on this object. And we're going to go and choose Warp. And I'm going to go over here into the Custom Warp, and what I want is this one right here called Bulge. Now by default, it's going to expand it outward, as you can see here, but I actually want it to go inward. Now I could go in here in the bend setting and actually just drag this, use the scrubby slider, or even input a number into here. What I like to do though is you see this little handle right here. You can actually grab that and manipulate the effect right on the fly, right inside the document there. So I'm actually going to push this down right about there. Then I'm going to activate the free transform yet again by pressing Command or Control T. And I'm just going to hold down my Option key or the Alt key so we're scaling out from the center. I'm just going to scale this disproportionately up and outward. Just give me a little bit more realistic effect there, or more readable effect, I should say. Then I'll just press Enter. So let's select all and center that in our document again. So there it is. My effect is done. I've got a cool looking, almost dimensional looking text here and looks pretty good. But let's say somebody comes along and says, you know what, I don't like the word imagine. Let's change it to something else. And you're like, man, I got to recreate all that again. Alas, we do not, because we have taken advantage of smart objects. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to double click on that smart object to open it up. And it opens up that first level, that last level, which we applied the reflection to. I'm going to double click on this object yet again, and here we are inside this first object, which has the color overlay and the actual text. So I'm going to turn off the color overlay. I'm going to double click on the text layer, and let's say we type the word create. So now if I turn on that overlay, it's obviously not going to line up because we have a different word here. So let's throw that layer away and create a new layer above it. Load the selection as we did earlier. We still got yellow as our foreground color, so let's go ahead and fill that area in. Drop that to overlay and watch what happens. So I'm done here inside this particular layer. I'm going to go over here and click close the document, save the changes. It'll save up to the next level, giving me my new word with the color overlay and the reflection still with the layer mask active. It's updating all that right on the fly. I'm going to close this layer or this smart object yet again because we've got several levels of smart objects in this one document. So I'm going to close that document, click save, and watch what happens in our main file. Boom. Gone ahead and created. It's changed the wording, reapplied the distortion, and everything is in place with all the new text. I did that in just a few steps. So I'm able to go in there and change. I can apply really complex effects and distortions to any object and go back inside those smart objects and make any further changes I need to without having to do it all over again. So you can start to see how powerful smart objects can really be. They're a lot of fun and they're a big time saver. So play with them yourself, see what kind of cool things you can do, and I hope you have fun with it.